Recording in progress.
All right, good evening. Today is Monday, September 16th, 2024, and this is the Historic Preservation Commission meeting. We'll have a roll call, please.
Hey, Commissioner Whidden. Here. Commissioner Anderson.
Here.
Commissioner Dunlap.
Here.
Commissioner Berg.
Here.
Commissioner Keller.
Here.
And Chair Haley.
Here. All right, and our agenda this evening. If anyone has any changes or additions? Otherwise, we can have a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then any public comments that are not on our agenda this evening? Do we have anyone online? All right. And seeing none, we'll move on to probable cause, which is for 1025 Front Street, and we'll have a presentation from staff.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commission members. My name is Emily Klein-Gibson. I'm a planner too with the Planning Department. I've been with the City of Louisville for about 2 months now, and I will be presenting the staff report tonight for 1025 Front Street. So this is a probable cause case. As you can see on the map here, Front Street, 1025 Front Street is located about in the center of this block. You can see the railroad tracks to the right, and then Short Street is located to the north, and South Street is located to the south.
That works out.
For probable cause applications, this is how the HPC approves grants for historic structure assessments. HSA grants cover up to $4,000 for residential properties and $9,000 for commercial properties. There are reimbursements and non-matching, and the landmarking criteria is used to assess the probable cause. So conditions over time for 1025 Front Street, as you can see on the assessor's card image located to the left, it's not the best image. It's obstructed by a large tree, but hopefully you can kind of gauge what the property used to look like. Unfortunately, this is the only photo we have of the property at that time, but you can see to the right what the property looks like currently. And just one thing to point out here, from the 1948 assessor's card, there was a porch that has since been enclosed, as well as the windows appear to have changed in size. For landmark criteria, the building was constructed in 1896, making it approximately 127 years old. The architectural significance, it's a national folk style, and it maintains that simple style, as you may have noticed, based on the architectural display. One thing to note is the double front gabled roof. It's kind of a significant architectural feature for the neighborhood. It's not as common of a thing you saw in Caledonia Place. For the social significance, there is several families of coal mining history that may occupy this house, as well as English, Welsh, and Italian immigration history. And for the physical integrity, I touched on it a little bit. There were some changes to the front porch as well as the windows. Based on building permit records, it's unclear when these changes were made, but otherwise, the building's pretty intact from the 1948 assessor's card. Staff recommends finding probable cause, approving a grant of up to $4,000 towards the cost of a residential historic structure assessment. And that concludes this presentation. I'm available for any questions. I do believe the homeowner/applicant is here, and they would also like to say a few words.
All right, any questions for staff? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And if the applicant would like to speak, just say your name and city of residence for us, please, for the record.
Kimberly Eccles, Louisville, Colorado. I'm a native of Colorado. My grandchildren are 6th generation Coloradoans. My paternal grandfather was a homesteader in Boulder, had a farm on Valmont, and my mom, a graduate of Boulder High, and from thence, family and cousins everywhere. I purchased this property from my sister's mother-in-law, who at the time had been there, I think, since in the 50s. And I have pictures of my children walking up the front step to go visit Grandma Choo Choo, because we lived by the rail, or she lived by the railroad track. The house is, it's very charming. The reason that the front porch had to be enclosed is when I moved in, I had a 19-year-old son that was heading off to college, and I looked at the room and I said, I can't even put my table in for Thanksgiving. To make the table bigger because it wouldn't fit. So we enclosed the front porch so that the family could sit around the table at Thanksgiving. The property is very, very dear to me, and we suffered quite a bit of loss in one big hailstorm, and that's the reason for the new windows and the siding. It was a big claim, and we kind of had to take things down to bare nothing because the house was pretty well damaged. But other than that, it's a wonderful home to me, my grandchildren, and I just would like to preserve the charm of 1025 Front Street.
Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you. All right, any public comment for this property? Seeing none, we'll bring it back for discussion.
I would agree with staff's recommendation. So I don't see any reason why not to proceed with this one, but open to anybody else's opinion.
I'm pleased the property is being brought forward for preservation. It's a great little part of town, and several other buildings in that area have been preserved.
You don't often see the double pyramid roofline. That's really unique and special. So it's nice to see this come in front of us. I think I agree with the HSA to see what else is going on with the home and learn what it needs to be shored up and potentially landmarked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I definitely think it meets our criteria for age, being more than 50 years, architectural integrity, even though there's been some window changes and enclosures, and then the strong social history. So if anyone wants to make a motion.
I'll move to approve probable cause.
I'll second.
And we'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Whidden,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Berg,
Yes.
Commissioner Keller,
Yes.
Chair Haley.
Yes. All right, and so staff will be in touch with you for next steps with the historic structural assessment and anything else. So thank you for coming tonight.
All right, thank you very much.
Yep.
And now I'll walk home.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And our next item is another probable cause for 921 Main Street, and we'll have another staff report.
Good evening again, Commissioners. This is Emily Klein Gibson, Planner 2, and I'll be presenting the staff report for 921 Main Street. It is a probable cause case. 921 Main Street is located in the center of the block, with South Street to the north and Walnut Street to the south. Conditions over time, you can see the 1948 assessor's card to the left, and then present-day conditions of the building to the right. Aside from the big porch, there seems to be very minimal changes to the structure. For landmark criteria, the building was constructed around 1893. That date fluctuates a little bit, but it's approximately 131 years old. Architectural significance, it is a national folk style, and it was originally a residential building. It's since been converted to commercial/office use. That conversion happened around the 1980s, and it's stayed that way since. Social significance, there were early miner families that lived in the house for a couple years, and it's also located on Main Street, making it one of Louisville's oldest buildings. And once again, for the physical integrity, aside from the porch addition and some previous rear additions that date very early on, prior to 1948, very minor work has been done to the property. So staff recommends finding probable cause, approving a grant of up to $9,000 towards the cost of a commercial historic structure assessment. And that concludes the staff report. I'm available for any questions, and we also have the applicant here.
Does anyone have questions for staff? All right. We'll have the applicant.
Thank you.
Evening, Commissioners. My name is Andy Johnson. I'm with DAJ Design here in Louisville. We were asked to look at this building from a historic structure assessment perspective. And I actually have a pretty long history with this building. For as long as I've been here, over the last 25 years, that was originally my insurance agent who had, I think, purchased it a very long time ago. And so I think that was when it transitioned to commercial. Unfortunately, we don't have photos much older than mid-century, last century. We are really curious about what the old foundation would have been. We do think that it's a lot higher than it used to be in terms of how it's sitting on the site. Couple fun facts. It does have a coal chute full of coal with the old shovel, which is unique. The old octopus furnace is gone, unfortunately, but those are usually fully fun to find. Also, if anybody's doing the historic tree tour, I believe that tree in the front is on that tour. That is a 100-year-old Japanese lilac tree. It's one of the oldest in Colorado, not only in Louisville, but in Colorado, and I believe has been marked by the state. So, you know, that it is well outlived. It's typical a lifetime, so we're really lucky to have it, and it is stunning in the spring. The building has been incredibly well taken care of. There's always issues with old buildings like this, but recent remodels to the structure have done a really nice job of maintaining a lot of its original character on the inside. It is wrapped in asbestos, unfortunately, and I'm sure the siding is probably beaten because it was wrapped. It was probably in response to its condition. So it'll be interesting to see what the owner is wanting to do with it and how far they'll go with the preservation process, but they've expressed a lot of interest. This is their second, or actually this is their third historic home that they've purchased or building in Louisville, and they've gone through different variations of the process so far. So anyway, happy to answer any questions, but just here to offer some fun facts.
All right, any questions for the applicant?
You said something about it being a home, but is it intended to continue to be a commercial building?
Commercial building, yeah.
Okay. And where did the history of the 100-year-old tree come from? Just
So it
curious.
was planted, it's actually in the social history report.
From the museum?
How do we know how old it is?
I just wondered how that was discovered.
Oh, well, it was discovered originally in a conversation with Chris Lichty, our city forester,
Okay.
and then was also discussed in the social history. It was planted by one of the residents, one of the original residents. I don't think it was the original, I think it was the second. So, anyway.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Welcome.
All right, thank you.
I do need to mention, the owner would have loved to have been here. They're in England doing a christening for their new baby, and so under those circumstances, they asked me to represent them.
Sure, thank you. All right, any comments from the public? Seeing none, we'll bring it back for discussion. I think this is another pretty obvious one, just as far as strong architectural integrity, definitely 50 years or older, and very strong social history. So, and it's in good condition. And so if anyone has any other comments or differences.
I had a question on this one. It shows that the recommendation is for an HSA for up to $4,000 on this one.
Yeah, I think that might be,
I think it's 9 because it's commercial.
yeah, I think that might be wrong in the
Yeah.
packet.
Oh, okay.
So I just wanted to be clear that this was
Right.
eligible for up to $9,000, although I don't, it'd be interesting to find out how the two compare since they're so similar in size.
Right, as far as it being a more of a residential size property.
Yep.
Yeah. I think generally too, they take into account just the commercial use compared to residential. Like sometimes that's kind of different too, maybe.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Okay. So I want to be clear what we're,
sure. No, that's a
Sure.
good catch for sure.
I agree. This is a good use of the funds, good use of, looking into this structure for this program, especially considering it's on Main Street. It will remain commercial, so it's a high-value location for the city in terms of visibility. So I support the HSA.
I would make a motion to approve the probable cause designation for 921 Main Street.
I'll second.
And we'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Whidden,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Berg,
Yes.
Commissioner Keller,
Yes.
Chair Haley.
Yes. All right, thank you. And staff will be in touch with you or the homeowner with the next step. So thanks for being here for them tonight.
Thank you.
All right, our next item is items from staff.
Good evening again. Just a couple of short updates. We had one demolition review for 1237 Grant Avenue in late July. It was for window replacements. I believe the windows were basically inoperable. They either couldn't open or couldn't shut. So that demolition review was released. And there were no alteration certificates. And the next regular scheduled meeting is going to be for October 21st. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any updates from commission members?
The only thing I have to say is I'm going to be attending the museum advisory board meeting this coming Wednesday. So if there's anything anybody wants me to bring to that group, please let me know.
Awesome, that's great. Yeah, I guess the main thing is just if there's any, just kind of whatever things they have going on the next part of the year, which applies it. So, yeah, that's great.
I guess I have an item that I'm kind of curious, and it's probably more of a staff question, but is there like a end of year summary or anything like that we can typically get to see what a typical HSA does run on a residential and commercial setup? Just because I really don't know what ends up being turned in on those, and I'm curious on it.
Yeah, we could provide that for you. I'm pretty sure we usually get 100% of the grant in almost all cases, but I'll make a note. We can do some research and send an email out to everybody.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Yes. Commissioner Berg and I have been working on updating the bylaws. There was a request to do that, quite a few months ago. We thought it'd be good to get moving on that. We've met a few times, and I just summarized some changes today, so Chrissy probably hasn't had a chance to look at them. But I think we'll soon be in a position to have them reviewed. We weren't quite sure who the right people to review them now, because really they really are part, or what we do is sort of a part of the city council. But we suggested sending them to Rob and Emily to see if the content looks right, and probably the city clerk. She was supposed to have some changes to the bylaws in general. But what do you think, Chair? Do you think we should send it to you and some people like that first, or?
Well, I would say probably have staff review and decide like when it's appropriate to bring it to the full commission, I would think would be the first step, but we could also bring it to the commission first. What is?
Yeah, and I guess I don't know the scope or the purpose of the review, if they're big changes or what you're trying to accomplish, that might change.
Yeah, I think there was a city effort to review all the bylaws of all the commissions, and actually the changes aren't really great at all, or aren't much. It's just a matter of adding clarity and changing 2014 to 2024, a few things like that.
Yeah. How about you send it to staff, we'll take a look and then advise on whether the commission should review it first, or if we then maybe just have the city clerk and city attorney review it and then have you do a final review.
So I think that was kind of our question with discussing with Amelia, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but kind of the avenue of does Meredith need to look at it, or staff, or kind of what the next step is. So if you want to just let us know.
Let's do a staff review. Why don't you, if you
And
feel
then
like
we
you
can
have a
direct it.
draft
That's-
that's
yeah.
worthy of looking at, then we'll look at it and
Sound good?
tell you what we think you should do as the next step.
That'd be great. We do have a draft. We've gone through several phases of it, and we're working with staff and got some answers on some things. But yeah, I think staff is the likely next step. And then again, probably the city clerk does need to be involved at some point for some things that are, standard among boards. So thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Uh,
Go ahead.
One other, I was away in May when we had the landmarking ceremony, and I don't know if that's anything that's on official calendar other than that's Preservation Month or something like that. I wondered if we might be able to schedule a plaque ceremony in the fall sometime.
For your house?
Yeah, that could be.
No, that'd be great. We should.
Again, maybe we can talk to Emily and schedule.
Yeah, I forget, we usually do it once a year. I can't remember what month that
Right.
is. Do you remember, Chair Haley?
Actually in May, but he was out of town.
Oh, okay,
So
I see.
I think that was kind of the discussion, is we were like, we'll try to get, because I think you were the only one that wasn't on, is that right? Or was there another?
I'm not
Did we
sure
get all the
since I wasn't
properties?
there.
Yeah, I think it was only his, that, because he was out of town. And usually we would just still do it, but because we gave him special preference. So yeah, we could, I don't see why we couldn't do something.
Yeah, it may not include the whole
Right.
buffet and
No.
everything like we normally
we
do,
could
but we
do a
could.
presentation
Yeah, if
and-
that's okay, we could do
Yeah, we can do
something this
that.
fall, probably. We'll look into that. I assume we have the plaque, or have we given you the plaque yet?
No,
We'll find it somewhere, and I'm sure it's down in our office.
probably in Breckenridge.
If not, we have Amelia's number, and we'll
Yeah,
track it down that way.
so I bet we could get that
Okay, thank you.
the next couple months before the end of the year. Yeah, that's good. All right, anything else before we adjourn? So you want to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting of Historic Preservation Commission.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thanks for being here. Have a good evening.
A lot of the crosswalks, had them lined up so that it's not encumbering any pedestrian experience and increase safety.
So specifically at the south end of Front Street that exists?